Welcome all, SamuraiRevolution here, and today we are going to get all the updates for Age of Empires going into 2020. Checking out what Age of Empires 4 is up to, and basically I'm just going to break down everything that has been in an article the past few weeks and months since the announcement trailer, and we're going to break down what we got going into 2020, kind of what news we got, and just going on from there. So first thing here, and I think this is pretty big for most people, is you can change the saturation because people have been livid, or some people have been livid about the cartoony look, which honestly I don't mind too much how it looks right now. I think it's good, but I know some people are bothered by it. And here in the article here it says that's just saturation. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You can turn down the saturation. There is options. So I think this could be a good relief for a lot of people. I'm surprised that they had to really come out with this. I mean, I feel like that'd be kind of known, but it's good to know this. And so if you have issues with saturation, you can change it. There were some images posted on what it could look like without the saturation. So, and I think it looks more, just more realistic, I guess, or more medieval. So that could suit your style. So one of the next big things that we know is that there are going to be 4 resources and 4 ages. So they're basically copying the Age of Empires 2 template, which I don't think is too much of a surprise to people. Here they're saying how that all the civilizations are going to use the 4 resources, but they might use them differently in different aspects, in different orders and for your build order and stuff like that. So that's going to be really cool to see. I like that. I think I like the diversity in the civilizations and how they use that. And I'm definitely looking forward to that. The other thing is that they're talking about how the age ups might be a little different than what has been previously seen. So here he says, but there are also new aspects to aging up from a presentation point of view that no one has ever seen in an RTS game before. So I have no idea what that means. Hopefully we'll get more details when more gameplay is released, but it does sound pretty neat. Maybe there's just a different way to age up for each civ. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a different resource amount or something like that. I have no idea. But we'll see what that means. And it does sound pretty neat. So some cool things there, but I think that's pretty important to know. The kind of 2 staples of what Age of Empires has gone to more in the past is coming back. And just going to build off that platform. And to go off the graphics, here he is talking about how it's going to be no blood and gore. The game's going to be bright and inviting, and they're going to have it open into as many player groups as possible in that sense. So I'm sure people will do mods for that, but that's just what you can expect in terms of those kind of graphics. And here they actually have a really interesting discussion. He talks about how the Age 2 and Age 3 communities are pretty separated, and they obviously have different features which players like from either group. He's talking about how they're going to try to incorporate some features from both games into this one, and then they're going to offer new features that might be completely different than both games. And he's talking about how people might be mad at first, but they're hoping at the end that they'll come around and they'll say, okay, like this is good, and this is a cool feature. So I like that. I like that they're exploring new features. I like that they're bringing bits together from multiple games. I think that's what they should do. I don't think it should just be a carbon copy of a new game. And I'm interested to see how it turns out. I'm interested to see what features they choose. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be cool. So here he talks about how it's been 13 years since the last Age of Empires game has been released, and they have a lot of catching up to do. And when they were developing, there were some people that were saying that this seems like too different of a feature. They talk about how they're encouraging new features to be added, and that's okay because it's a new game, which is great. I like how they're trying to install a new development into the series that has its own identity outside of maybe Age of Empires 2 or Age of Empires 3, which I think would be, as what a lot of people are going to do. They're going to immediately compare the games, and I think it's really cool to see that they're going off of their creativity and this inspiration to create the next generation of Age of Empires and go outside of maybe what is normally seen. So combining that with the fact that they're bringing in features from multiple games and maybe bringing new features in, I think it's going to be a really cool experience. And I just encourage everyone to have an open heart going into this game. Additionally, one of my favorite parts, honestly, so far as a kind of a history nut, is they're talking about how much they're going into the details of the uniforms for soldiers and the skins of certain units and buildings, and how they're really making sure it's historically accurate and stuff like that. So here they're talking about how they actually are going to Mongolia. They're going to these places where they can actually see the history firsthand and then create it. And here he's saying the level of detail we've gone into with the civilizations is beyond. And he says anything that he's gone through in any other RTS game before in some other articles. And so that's really exciting. I like that. That's one of my favorite parts about Age of Empires in terms of, as a new player, that was the reason I started playing, is because I love the history and that time period. And the game brings that to life. And I like that they're really focusing on that as a staple. And especially with these civilizations are going to be very unique, and there aren't going to be that many. There's going to be less than 13 compared to Age of Empires 2 release. So they're going to make them very unique and focused. They're all going to have their own skins. They're going to have, it's going to be obvious to be able to see what buildings of barracks and stuff like that. They're going to be similar structures, and but the difference is going to be that they're going to have different skins. You're going to be able to tell which civilization is which, and I like that a lot. I think that that's really bringing the game more to life. It's making you really feel like, okay, I'm playing with the Mongols, instead of maybe there's just a little bit difference. And it says that this is the Japanese, but really just feels like any other Asian civ or something like that. I don't know. But I really like that they're getting that diversity in there. I think that's going to be really cool to see. And to go along with that, as he says right here, this is really neat. He says, I want that responsibility. I love that responsibility. I want Age of Empires 4 to be a trusted source of history. And I think we can do that justice. I would be over the moon if people are like, man, this is legit, because there's been some shaky history in the previous Age of Empires games. And so, yeah, I love that. I love him stating that, and that's just really exciting to see, and I'm looking forward to seeing that come to life in this game. In this article here, and all these will be in the description below, he's talking about how they're going to do something very different with the campaign. They can't talk about it right now, but it's going to be crazy cool. They're going to try to bring engaging history in a new, exciting way, which I think is great, honestly. They've done traditional campaigns in the past. They've explored maybe some more folk in the campaigns, a little bit less accurate, but exploring a new route. And it seems like this is going to explore another new route, which I think is good. I think it's going to bring more life to it. And since they're already going through the medieval time period like they did with Age of Empires 2, I think they kind of need to do this. So it's going to be interesting to see what that is exactly, but I'm looking forward to the new campaign layout. Here they actually discuss how diplomacy is an underused feature in previous Age games, so it looks like they will not be exploring it that much in Age of Empires 4. So it's probably unlikely, which is kind of disappointing. It's a feature that I enjoy a lot, so hopefully maybe we can get that with some scenarios and stuff, but it looks like diplomacy isn't a big focus point going into Age 4. Another big thing here is they're talking about the format of how the game is going to be sold and updated and stuff like that. And so they talk about how they're going to do a Game Pass format, and they're talking about how they're optimistic that this will make the fans happy. They're not going to do like a $60 launch and then have DLC packs. They're going to have it as like a continual service, which is interesting because that's something that a lot of games are going to these days, and I think there are very mixed feelings because a lot of people don't really develop a full game on the release date. So hopefully they can have a full game developed and everyone can rally behind it, and then they can add updates as needed. Maybe just add new civs, I don't know, once a quarter or something, just as an example, or new maps or something like that. But I think this could be cool. I think especially since you have all these different communities coming together. You have Age 3, Age 2, even Age of Empires Originals, Age of Mythology, people that are going to be completely new to the series all coming in. That this could be a cool opportunity to just get those updates that are needed. I think there's going to be a lot of tweaking going on at the beginning of it. And so this is an easy way to do that. My biggest thing is I really hope that they just have a very well-established game at the start. And then hopefully everyone can rally behind them when this goes on. But not too surprising, it's going to be with Microsoft there in the store, and they'll be going on from there. So hopefully it works out pretty well. Here Adam talks about the length of the game and the pacing, which is cool. I think it's something that people kind of overlook initially because they're looking at, oh, what's a time period, all these units, stuff like that. Here he's saying that you don't have to commit to a 2-hour game, but you can if you want, which is great. I mean, I think a lot of people who are actually going to be playing this out of the start might not have the initial time that they would like. I think there's going to be a lot of people who used to play who are going to be trying it out, and they're going to be have families and have jobs and stuff like that. And even me myself, like I don't have time for hours and hours on end, but I have time for 30 minutes to an hour. And I think that's good. That's what they are trying to kind of go for here. And then if you want longer battles, you can. I'm assuming he's kind of talking about trees here and stuff like that. But it's cool to see that they're already thinking about these kind of things really early on. They've kind of addressed all the main things that they need to touch on. And I think it's cool that they're already talking about this early on. And then probably the thing that everyone wants to know, and I think this has been known, but just to kind of touch on it, is that they're aiming for a 2021 release, which is going to be, it's going to be hard for a lot of people. I think they've been waiting such a long time. One of my favorite kind of memes is, instead of calling it Age of Empires 4, is call it Waiting for Ages, which is pretty funny. But it is going to take a while, and I think they're going to release the Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition beforehand, probably in 2020 this year. And then so for 2021, they'll be focusing on the Age 4 release. And I think that's good. It gives them a lot of time. We already saw some development gameplay. When they first released it, they had some images of the studio and them editing it, and it looks like they had some good working models going. So I think they're further in development than people really think. I think they're just having that far out date so they can really polish the game off, which I hope. And we'll see what's going on here. But that is the release date, and that is all the real important information so far for 2020 going into it. I'll keep doing updates like this as the year progresses. I'm thinking maybe once a quarter as we get more updates. And if there's any major like video releases or anything like that, we can always do videos there. So let me know your thoughts below. Let me know how this video was. How can I improve? Do you like this format of me going through articles, linking them? Do you want to see gameplay in the background? Let me know those things. So I'm so thankful for you guys. Looking forward to this amazing release. And until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.